Welcome into Cheers to Baseball, presented by Old Dominic. That guy right there is Chris Domino. I'm Kevin McAlpin. Glad to have you with us here on the Atlanta Braves Radio Network. Chris, here we are. We have turned the calendar to August.
Finally.
Trade deadline is behind us. The sprint to the finish line is on.
Very factually accurate so far.
What are your thoughts on what happened at the deadline? Obviously, asking price is very high. Still some of those big names we had talked about. Will they move? Will they won't? They stayed put at the trade deadline.
I wish I could tell you who said it first. I am not a hack. I will just say it. Dudline is how it was referred to by a bunch of people because here's the numbers. 70 All-Stars, 35 a team. 2 All-Stars were traded. That's it. Baseball America's top 100 prospects. 0 from Baseball America's top 100 prospects traded. So it wasn't a lot. I'm not telling you the Phillies didn't get a closer. I'm not telling you the Dodgers didn't get Jack Flaherty on they needed. I'm not telling you a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Josh Bell, big bat. Randy Arozarena. I know what happened. It just didn't really play out maybe to a frenzy of bigger name guys. What was interesting is we didn't really go to the deadline with very much. We actually had guys traded a little bit before the actual day of the deadline, and maybe that sort of took away that appeal of, clock is ticking. You know, nobody had to cut a wire at the end. It doesn't feel like that Verlander deal that happened a few years ago with Houston where everybody said it was down to like 3 minutes left. We didn't really have any of that this year.
Let me ask you this, because we've heard GMs say asking prices were very high, to your point there, which is why a lot of those names didn't move. Expanded playoffs have certainly made GM's jobs even harder. Do you think that kind of takes away a little bit of the luster of all that activity, that flurry of names that used to happen at the deadline?
Yeah, maybe. But the alternative to that is, and it's what baseball wants. They want more people involved. So boo-hoo, if you didn't get what you wanted, tough. You should have put some of those people in your rearview mirror.
Yeah.
You had 95 games to knock somebody so far out, you and everybody else who wants to be a trade buyer at the deadline, and you didn't do it. You know, there are some teams, look, the Royals are a good story. Cleveland's interesting. Nobody knows anything about them. They know the leadoff hitter in Quan. They know the closer and Jose Ramirez in the middle, but not much else. Royals have already won more games this year than they won all of last year, and Bobby Witt Jr. is becoming a name, and Salvador Perez made it back to the All-Star game. But if you didn't want those teams to actually dictate anything, you got to beat them, and you got to make sure that they know that it's time to sell. They were nowhere close to being in that group this year.
What's interesting, too, is you start looking around the division races. The NL West, which I think a lot of folks felt like Dodgers in a runaway. We thought the American League West, the Mariners had themselves a big cushion. You look at what's
Yankees.
happening. Yeah, you look at the American League East as well, and even the NL East, which felt like it could be a runaway. Going into play on Friday night was only a 6-game lead for Philadelphia. So, Chris, some of those division races, some of those division leaders that really felt comfortable a month ago, quite a different story here.
Yeah, it only takes 2 4 and 6s to actually realize, well, the object in a rearview mirror is as big as it appears. I think Arizona might have had the best record in baseball in the month of July. That's how you actually make up space. The Yankees look like the best team in baseball. Nobody's going to catch them except Baltimore did. Seattle got so far out in front of Houston, it was, Houston, the run is over. They're going to end up, wait, hold on. They're in first place. And here, while it's still 6 games, which is a lot of games, it's not a lot spread out over 60. It's just not what Houston did. It's not what Baltimore did.
Right.
And to some degree, like Arizona getting closer to Los Angeles, San Diego sort of righting themselves and picking it up and getting moving is a little bit more not interesting because we live here in the National League East, but it's a little bit more telling than maybe even what the Braves have done because Philadelphia has been bad as of late.
Yeah, they're going on a long West Coast road trip. Hopefully, Braves can capitalize on a little bit of a softer schedule. But as we know, you don't like to play that game. You don't like to buy into the schedule says X, Y, and Z.
Sure. Yeah, ifs and buts.
Right, exactly.
You know, we would have had more parades around here if everything was just supposed to go according to plan.
Yeah.
I'd have a better, listen, I'd be on FM radio if we're on FM radio.
You're on FM radio.
I shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
But 30 years later, I'm still on AM radio. You would have thought by now I would have graduated. Just doesn't always go according to plan.
Hey, listen, you are worldwide.
Yeah, sure.
You are on that 680 The Fan mobile app.
That part is true.
You have listeners in Australia. You have listeners sending you Muppets of yourself.
Yes.
You're a big deal.
Yeah, I got an email from Guam. I couldn't tell you where Guam was on a map if you gave me $1,000. But I got an email with a guy saying, I listen in Guam.
How about that?
What was my obligatory question to him?
What day is it where you are?
What day is it?
Yeah. Do the Braves win tonight? Can you tell us?
That's what I keep wanting to know. I got prize picks money I got to lay out. How am I going to do tonight?
Hey, speaking of the Braves, we know they bring back Jorge Soler. Looking at the top of the lineup with Soler, Riley, Ozuna, Olsen, and Olsen's bat coming around here lately. Feel a whole lot better about that top of the lineup. And with that threat that you used to have with Ronald, you necessarily didn't have with Jared Kelenic.
Yeah, don't make mistakes again. Maybe we're going to be back in the business of don't make mistakes early. Maybe the Braves get leads early in the first and second inning. To me, the bottom of the lineup is one of the reasons you're not scoring as many runs. It's because you're not getting production. Guys aren't on base. Throw in then when Olsen wasn't hitting, when Riley was a little bit of a struggle, that seems to be gone. But Soler, certainly, you don't get 6'4", 240 walking into the box and think, oh, okay, this is a nice, easy way. Let me just flip a few and see what happens. So, yeah, there seems to be a little bit more of stature worry if I'm on the mound in the beginning of the game. And I certainly know Marcell Ozuna, who is closer. And again, all three categories in the old school Triple Crown. Sorry if you don't like average. Sorry if you don't like home run or RBI. He's closer than I think a lot of people thought he was going to be because we all assumed somebody, somebody was going to take off in a batting average type thing. Oh, he'll be more than 20 back.
Luis arrives.
Yeah, he's right. He's going to separate. It's going to be 20. The home runs, there goes Ohtani. Marcel's going to. Didn't happen. So Marcell Ozuna certainly has been a threat, and he's been a threat for a longer period of time than I ever thought he was going to be.
It's been incredible to watch the turnaround since May the 1st. He's right up there with Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge, as far as most homers hit in Major League Baseball since the start of May a year ago. I wonder what kind of odds you could have gotten on that, say, April 15th of 2023.
Well, I would have said he's hitting home runs in another country.
Right.
I would have said he's not playing in America.
Right.
He's someplace else. So let's just go to the pitching real quick. Do you believe we're taping this on Friday? We will know by the time a lot of people see this whether Max Fried does get the start on Sunday. Ronaldo Lopez is not going to get the start this weekend against Miami. Right. I put it at, arbitrarily, 62% that he will start on Sunday. No, that he won't start on Sunday. I'm actually going more than 50-50 that they change their mind. The hints of Alex Anthopoulos and Brian Snitker might not happen on Sunday.
Yeah, I am. The fact that we're recording this on a Friday and Sunday is still to be determined. We know Grant Holmes starts Saturday. We had been told could be Fried and Lopez starting Saturday and Sunday. Well, we know that's not going to be the case. Is it Lopez? Is it Fried?
It ain't Lopez.
Is it neither?
Yeah, I'm voting 62% no on Fried because I'm going with my old, I believe it when I see it. They say play ball and he starts throwing pitches. We'll see. I mean, I could be wrong because Alex did sort of say, well, Fried on Sunday. And then Snit said, well, I'm sort of Fried on Sunday. We'll just find out if they doubled it up and then end up, for whatever reason, changing their mind.
Yeah, we'll see how it all plays out. Here's the good news. You're taking on a Marlins team that is absolutely depleted. Yeah. I mean, anybody that they could get anything for went out the door at the deadline. So if there was ever a weekend for you to say, you know what, we will push some of these guys back, move them back to next week, let them see the Brewers or even take a couple extra days off. This feels like the schedule gods worked out in your favor.
Jake Berger is Henry Aaron on this team. Like, he really is, relatively speaking, because they don't really have much pop anyplace else up in the lineup. They shouldn't. Now, look, you walk two guys, you hit a guy, you don't turn a double play. Absolutely enough guys have an ability to hit a home run. These guys don't really have it on the back of the card. They're not doing it this year. It could happen. Yeah. They could hit 3-run home runs on a Friday night. Okay, I'm granting that. But it's not likely. You'd have to really make mistakes to have this team beat you up. And I do think with the new sense of, is it 21 homers in the last 7 games now? Yeah. Advantage Braves. Mm-hmm. And I always say, when you played the Mets, the Chris Sale night, the first night of that 4-game series, the only advantage the Braves had at that moment. Mets were playing better at home than you were playing on the road. They had won a bunch of games. They played a really good month of baseball, blah, blah, blah. Chris Sale got the box. Against the Marlins, there's not a box that the Marlins check. This is the I went on the mound. I don't know enough about them defensively. I'll just say that I don't think this side of Jorge Soler playing in the outfield, who almost killed Jared Kelenic last night, I don't think they'd have much of an advantage. Yeah. They want to run, but I don't know if they're going to be on base enough to run. I don't know if they're athletic. Listen, if I'm Skip Schumacher, everybody's running. Yeah. Take an extra 90. There's no caution if I'm them. So I think they could run themselves into problems because they're going to try to steal 90 feet and they're going to try to steal bases. The Braves win every box. Yeah. They really do. They win every starting pitching, bullpen, offense, maybe defense. I don't know enough about them, but I certainly know that they're more likely to make a mistake because they probably have to.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Spencer Schwellenbach, Friday night, he has been a great story for this Braves team. Quickly before we go, if you had to line up a rotation for the postseason, right now, I love Max Fried, but Chris Sale's my game 1 starter.
Yep.
I'm probably going Fried game 2.
Yep.
Who is Chris Domino's game 3 starter?
Lopez, as long as he's healthy. I'm going to go Lopez. And then I would give the ball to Schwellenbach, and here's why. I would have Charlie Morton on the ready, fire, aim part of a game where if it went, he wets himself a little bit, whatever. Charlie Morton certainly has been in a bullpen before. I think he'd probably know what it would take to warm him up, although he's the 40-year-old version of him. I don't like it the other way around. I don't want to think that Schwellenbach would have to get into a bullpen mode to try to hold a game down. I wouldn't mind him. He looks bearish. He looks like a guy who doesn't mind taking the ball. But if it did go sideways, I think Charlie Morton is your 4th game starter. It might be Schwellenbach Morton for me if you needed it.
Yeah.
That's how I would set it up.
Be interesting. Braves got to get there first. They're playing good baseball. Going into Friday night, they've won 5 out of their last 6 ball games, won 3 in a row, and we'll see if they can capitalize on a depleted Marlins ball club. I got an idea for you and me tonight. We have the Ford Leadoff Show. We do it every single game all year long.
Hope you join us.
Yes, please do.
Guam, not Guam.
Wherever.
France, not France.
Whatever continent you might be on.
Whatever.
Antarctica.
Yeah,
wherever you might be. My suggestion, though, for a Friday night, we should probably pour us a little Old Dominic tonight. Whether it's the whiskey, whether it's the vodka. I got some other stuff in the locker as well.
I'm going vodka tonight.
You are. All right. You got some friends coming up tonight too, right?
I might.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a possibility.
We can share the wealth.
Okay.
We can spread that around a little bit.
There is a possibility.
And look, football season's right around the corner. You've got baseball playoffs. You've got the Olympics going. You got all kinds of stuff going on. So if you need to entertain a crowd, Chris, I think Old Dominic's the spot you should start.
Yeah, and don't forget, while it is hot, and it's hot certainly in Atlanta, don't know where you are. It's probably hot there as well. We're going to get into that. Oh, here comes the fall. It's not too far behind. It's going to be fall baseball. It's going to be playoff baseball, college football, the NFL. I'm telling you, there are going to be Sunday afternoons when it's going to be a little bit colder out. Some of you guys, it'll be sooner than later. I've become a big fan. I wasn't really a brown liquor guy, but I do my occasion brown liquor when it's starting to get cold out, when it's starting to get a little dark out. I find myself sort of bleeding into that late fall, winter version of brown liquor. It's sort of relaxing and calming. And believe me, I watch enough football where at times I bet enough football where I'm not relaxed and calm. This could take the edge right off.
Yeah, this straight bottled and bond Tennessee whiskey, 100 proof. This would be perfect for a night. Maybe you're around the fire. Maybe you're watching football outside. Whatever you're doing.
Stock up.
Yeah, stock up. I think we'll have to have a little pour of this tonight.
Okay.
Kick off the weekend, hopefully, with another win for the Braves. Do want to thank Old Dominic, whether it's the brown liquor, whether you like the vodka. They got all your bases covered, no pun intended. We do want to thank them for being part of our coverage here on the Braves Radio Network. You and I will get together in a few hours.
Yes, we will.
We'll get set for the Braves and Marlins coming up tonight from Truist Park here in Atlanta.